Everyone, I am Dr. Abhishek Sharma, Senior Consultant Ophthalmology at Bloom Vision, Dwarka, New Delhi. So today I am amongst all of you to discuss a very important topic, glaucoma. So glaucoma is one of the most common disease which leads blindness in elderly age group people, and it's the second in list after cataract. So what actually is glaucoma? What are its symptoms? How do it present? How do we diagnose it? And ultimately, what is the treatment? This I'm going to discuss with all of you in a nutshell today. And I'm doing this on the pretext of the World Glaucoma Week, which just went by in March. So let me begin my presentation. So what actually is glaucoma? Glaucoma is the name given to a group of diseases where the optic nerve of the eye gets damaged. So now what is the optic nerve? As you all know, that our eye is made up of different parts. What we see outside this black part is basically cornea. It's the first important layer through which the vision enters the eye. And then there is a lens inside the eye. And through the lens, there is a pathway which it reaches the retina. Now, from the retina of the eyes, the vision is transferred by a nerve, which is called the optic nerve, which takes the vision from each eye to the brain behind. And it's ultimately the brain that sees. So glaucoma is a disease in which the optic nerve gets damaged. Now, how do we understand what optic nerve is? As you all know, when we take a photograph from a camera, we connect the computer to download a picture through a cable. Now, if the cable is cut, then the image will not be able to get or will not be able to download. In glaucoma too, similar thing happens. Due to increased eye pressure, there is a damage to the optic nerve and ultimately the image gets blacked out. Now, what is an eye pressure? As you must have heard that in glaucoma, or what we call as kala motia in Hindi, there is an increase in the eye pressure. So what is an eye pressure? Just like there's a blood pressure, which exerts through our vessels in the body, there is also a pressure which is created by the internal parts of the eye onto the outer coat of the eye. That is called the eye pressure. Just like the blood pressure should be in a normal range, supposedly 120 by 80 millimeter of mercury. Similarly, eye pressure also has a normal range. It usually ranges between 12 to 22 millimeter of mercury. If it falls below 12 or 10, that is also bad for the eyes. And if it increases beyond 22, which is called high pressures, it can lead to the disease called glaucoma. Now, how increased pressure damages the optic nerve is what we will learn in the coming slides. So, as you can see in the diagram, there is a pressure of the internal part of the eye, which is exerted onto the outer coats of the eye, which we can also measure by a technique called tonometry. So a little bit of eye pressure is essential for good eye health. Without any pressure, the eye would just collapse just like a punctured tire. That's why eye has a pump inside, which continuously creates a fluid. And then there is a drainage pathway, which continuously drains an amount of fluid. Now, if there is a balance between production and drainage, the eye pressure will be maintained and everything will go on fine. Now, how does the intraocular pressure rise? For that, we need to learn what is actually intraocular pressure. As I told you, there are certain parts inside the eye which exert a pressure on the outer coat of the eye. The more important part is the front part of the eye, as I told you, is the cornea, and then there is a lens. Now, the distance or the area between the cornea and the lens is basically filled with a liquid called aqueous humor. It's a liquid which that part of the eye is filled with. Now, aqueous humor is generated by a tissue inside the eye called ciliary body, which will produce the aqueous humor, and then slowly through the angles of the eye, it gets drained out. Now let's consider this by an example of sink. Now in a sink, you see there is a faucet which allows the water to fall down, and then there is a drainage pipe which is taking the water out. Now if we keep the tap open continuously and there is an overflow of water, then also there will be an overflow. Or if there is a blockage in the drainage pipe, then also the water will start overflowing out of the sink. Similarly, inside the eye, the tissue which is producing aqueous humor, if it starts an increased production, or if the drainage pathways which are draining the fluid gets blocked, in both the condition, there will be a rise in intraocular pressure, which will harm the optic nerve and ultimately lead to glaucoma. Now, how intraocular pressure rise damages the optic nerve? As you can see in the diagram again, there is a pressure which is created on the outer coats of the eye. Now, eye basically lies within a bony socket inside the skull, and there is a limited space for the eye to expand or bulge. The only outlet is at the back of the eye, where the optic nerve as well as the retinal vein and artery exit and enter. So if there is an increased pressure, there will be a little bulging of the eyeball, but beyond that bulge, all the pressure will be directed towards the entry and the exit point, that is at the back of the eye, which will compress the optic nerve and slowly damage the optic nerve. That is how a rise pressure leads to the damage of the optic nerve behind the eye. Now, what are the causes of glaucoma? As we already discussed, that there is a production or a aqueous production way, and then there is a drainage pathway. As I told you, if there is an imbalance between both, increase in the aqueous or blockage in the drainage pathway, both will lead to ultimate rise of pressure and glaucoma in the long run. Now coming on, what are the symptoms of glaucoma? How can a normal person know that he might be suffering from glaucoma? Unfortunately, in most of the cases of glaucoma, which are open angle, which we'll discuss in the coming slide, there are basically two different categories of glaucoma. One is called open angle glaucoma and one is called angle closure glaucoma. Now, what do we mean by the angles? As I told you that there is a tissue inside the eye called the ciliary body, which produces the aqueous humor. Then it goes slowly through the pupil and ultimately comes in the anterior chamber. And then there are drainage pathways along the angle of the eye's 360 degree. Now, if this angle starts decreasing, there will be no further drainage of the aqueous outflow, which will lead to increased eye pressures and ultimately glaucoma. Now, which we'll discuss in the coming slides. So in the open angle glaucoma, basically 90% of the patients don't have any symptoms in the initial disease period. That is why glaucoma is also called silent thief of sight or khamosh drishti chor, because 80 to 90% patients of open angle glaucoma will not have any symptom before there is a huge damage to the optic nerve that has already occurred. And unfortunately, whatever damage is happening to the optic nerve behind, there is no way why we can reverse it. So glaucoma is a very dangerous disease in the terms that it causes irreversible loss of vision or the vision field, whereas cataract and the other diseases leads to a reversible cause of blindness. Now, there are few cases of angle closure glaucoma in which the intraocular pressure, when it rises, it can lead to a few symptoms. So angle closure glaucoma in other terms is good because it leads to certain symptoms by which we can come to know that there is some problem. So the symptoms are blurred vision, severe eye pain, headache, rainbow colored halos around bright lights which you can see, sometimes associated with nausea or vomiting, and sometimes associated with eye redness. But these again comprise of the symptoms faced by a very few number of people. As I told you, majority of the people of open angle glaucoma will not have any symptoms in the initial part of the disease. So how do we come to know? How do we check in a general public that they might be suffering from glaucoma or an early glaucoma has already started in them? Now, I'll go to the slide later on. Let us first discuss about the types of glaucoma. As I told you, there are two basic types of glaucoma. First, primary open angle glaucoma and the other primary angle closure glaucoma. Now, in primary open angle glaucoma, the angle between the iris, which gives the colors to the eye, and the cornea, which is the outermost layer of the eye, is open. There is no block there. The block or the problem is in the drainage pathways. The drainage becomes a little less effective as the age progresses, and which leads to an increase in the eye pressure and can ultimately damage the optic nerve. The optic nerve becomes slowly sensitive to even normal eye pressure in some patients and can cause damage even with normal pressure. Such a type of glaucoma is called normal tension glaucoma. Now, treatment in both cases is required to avoid any further loss of vision and the field. Now, coming on to closed angle glaucoma, many eyes have a shape in which there is, you can say, they have a narrow drainage angle. That is, the angle through which the water is going to the drainage pathways is narrow. Now, as the age progresses, the lens inside the eye increases in its thickness, which further pushes this angle to be further more narrow. And ultimately, if there is a block, there will be no liquid which will be able to reach the drainage pathways because the angle is closed. This leads to a sudden increase in the eye pressure and might lead to a serious condition called angle closure glaucoma attack. Now, an angle closure glaucoma attack is a medical emergency which needs to be treated urgently. Otherwise, it may lead to permanent loss of vision within a matter of few days. So angle closure glaucoma in terms is more dangerous because it can lead to attack as well as a quick damage to the optic nerve if the pressure rises significantly. Now comes to the most important part, that how is glaucoma diagnosed? How do we come to know? So basically, whenever a patient comes to us and he is in the elderly age group, that is above 50, we usually do two basic routine eye tests. One is called tonometry. Tonometry is the term used to the diagnostic test, which is used to take your eye pressures. And second is ophthalmoscopy, which is a test to look at the retina or the back part of the eye, which also shows the optic nerve. Now, if the eye pressures are beyond a limit, as discussed, that if they cross 22 millimeter of mercury, or during ophthalmoscopy, we see the optic nerve and we see that it is giving a suspicion in terms of its increased cup size or shape, that is the first indication where we suspect that this patient might be having glaucoma. And then these patients, the selected group, are subjected to certain specialized tests to further make the diagnosis clear. So if we talk about basic 5 tests by which we can diagnose glaucoma, first comes the tonometry, as I told you, which measures the eye pressure. Secondly is the ophthalmoscopy, that is the dilated eye examination to see the shape, size, and color of the optic nerve. Third is the perimetry. Now, what is perimetry? Now, measurement of the visual field is called perimetry. And now, what is visual field? Now, on normal eye checkups, whenever you go to an eye doctor or a simple optician, they make you sit on a chair and make you read a chart which is in front of you, which is called a Snellen's chart. Now, that chart basically is just checking your one part of the vision. It is the central vision. It is not your complete vision. Now, if we look straight without even moving our head or without moving our eyes, we can still look at a distance on our left, on our right, up and down. This complete circle, or you can say a visual expansion, is called visual field. Now, slowly what happens in glaucoma is the vision starts getting damaged from periphery towards the center. This damage is so small and might be asymmetrical in both eyes that most of the patients don't come to know until and unless there is a significant loss of the peripheral vision. And whatever visual field is getting damaged and narrowed, that cannot be reversed. So perimetry, or checking a complete visual field, is a specialized test which you can say is the basis for diagnosing glaucoma. Then gonioscopy. Gonioscopy is basically the name of the test which is used to see and study the angle of the eyes. As I told you that there are two types of glaucomas, open angle and closed angle. The gonioscopy, we put basically a lens inside your eye and then see through a slit lamp and observe the angles, whether they are towards the closed side or towards the open side. So this helps us to differentiate the type of glaucoma, and then accordingly we can treat the patient further. And pachymetry. Pachymetry is the test to measure the thickness of the cornea. Now, why is pachymetry important? Now, whatever machine which is doing the tonometry and is measuring the eye pressure is giving an eye pressure according to an average corneal thickness, which is around 540 to 545 microns. If your cornea is thicker than 545 microns, the machine will give a higher pressure. So you need to calibrate it and bring it down to 545 micron level. And if your cornea is thin, the machine will abnormally give a low pressure. So you need to add to that cornea and bring it to a 545 average level. So we need to know the pachymetry or the corneal thickness of each and every glaucoma patient to calculate their actual eye pressure and not the pressure which the machine is telling us directly. So in a nutshell, there are 5 tests which help us to diagnose glaucoma. Basic is tonometry and ophthalmoscopy, followed by specialized tests like pachymetry to measure the corneal thickness, gonioscopy to measure the angles, and perimetry to measure the visual field. Now, apart from this also, there are specialized tests which have now come in the last few years and now are kind of helping us to catch very early glaucoma. One of the most important of these tests is called OCT, or optical coherence tomography, in which we directly do a kind of CT scan of the optic nerve behind, and that test helps us to see and locate and measure the retinal nerve fiber layer thickness at each and every point of the optic nerve. So if there is a dip in the retinal nerve fiber layer thickness as per your age level, that comes down in a printed chart, you can easily read it, and then you can definitely suspect or diagnose glaucoma in a much better way. Now comes to the second most important part, that after we have made the diagnosis about of the glaucoma and then differentiated it types, then we need to go towards the treatment of glaucoma. Now, glaucoma damage, as I had discussed with you earlier, is permanent. It is irreversible, cannot be reversed. So medicine or surgery can just help us to stop the damage wherever it is, to prevent the further loss of damage or further loss of vision. But unfortunately, we can't recover whatever is lost. So that's why, and again, I want to, lay down an emphasis that an early diagnosis and early treatment is the stepping stone of the treatment of management of glaucoma. And everyone should, beyond the age of 50, should definitely get their eyes checked up regularly, every year once, to rule out glaucoma in them. Now, there are three basic broad subdivisions of treatment of glaucoma, the most important of which is medications. Now, in today's world, the medications of glaucoma have become so advanced that almost 90% of glaucoma patients can be managed with drops only. Only the rest 10% of them will require a laser surgery or a surgery for managing their eye pressures. So there are various groups of medications, which I'll not go into too much details, but the basis of all the groups of eye drops which we give for treating glaucoma is to reduce the eye pressure. Reducing the eye pressure reduces the pressure on the optic nerve and reduces the further damage or further progression of the disease. Second comes the laser. There are different lasers used for different glaucoma. There is a different laser technique which we use to treat angle closure glaucoma. And then there is a different laser which we need to apply to the eyes for treating open angle glaucoma. I'll not go too much into the details, but there are specific indications where we need to give lasers specifically in controlling angle closure glaucoma type. And then coming surgery. So those patients who over the period of years, despite of giving maximum eye drops, are not getting controlled and there is a sequential progression of the disease, or they are allergic or not tolerant to the eye drops given to them, or we also need to look about the economic status of the people. So glaucoma drops, one treatment once started cannot be stopped. It is a lifelong treatment, and definitely in a country like India, it adds to the economic burden of the patients. So if we see a patient of poor economic background who we know that will not be able to afford the drops for a long period of time, we directly sometimes advise them of surgery to reduce the eye pressure permanently. In the surgery, glaucoma surgery, basically what we do is make a large artificial opening through which the water or the aqueous inside the eye is drained through a pathway towards the outer channels and the eye pressure reduces. So glaucoma drops are no more required or required in a minimal fashion once the glaucoma surgery is done. Again, like other surgeries, it also has its own pitfalls and own complications. So we reserve the glaucoma surgery for those patients who, despite the giving the maximum medications, their eye pressures are not getting controlled, or the disease is progressing, or they can't tolerate the eye drops because of their side effects. So after discussing the three more major groups of the treatment of glaucoma, I will like to lay emphasis on the most important part now. Who are the patients who are at the risk of glaucoma? Is it a complete genetic disease? Is it completely inherited from the parents or because of certain other reasons? So in a nutshell, there is no fixed diagnosis like who can have glaucoma or who cannot have glaucoma. They are just pure risk factors. So if you have any one or more of these risk factors in your condition or in your case, you need to go and see your eye doctors definitely to rule out glaucoma. So first important risk factor is age. So people above the age of 40, specifically 50, are at higher risk of having glaucoma than the younger generation. Second, use of steroids. So any kind of use of steroids, whether be it oral or be it intravenous, or it be inhalational in the forms of inhalers, steroids, which are given for treatment or control of asthma, or eye drops. There are certain steroid eye drops which are given to patients who are suffering from long-term allergy or have undergone surgery, which if taken for a longer duration without supervision of the eye doctor, if the patient keeps using them, then they can land in having glaucoma. So steroids are an important risk factor for glaucoma. Third is high myopia. So myopia is a refractive error. As we all know, there are three types of refractive error: myopia or the minus numbers, hypermetropia or the plus numbers, as well as cylindrical or astigmatism. So those people who have high myopia, high minus numbers, or severe nearsightedness are at a higher risk of developing glaucoma. Next coming high blood pressure and diabetes. So these are two major diseases which obviously affect the elderly age group. And if the elderly patient is having either diabetes or blood pressure, they are at a higher risk of developing glaucoma than those who do not have these diseases. Again, a patient having diabetes but is under good control, having his diabetes under control, will have a lesser chance of glaucoma progression than a patient whose diabetes is out of control. Next comes the family history of glaucoma. So if either one or two of your parents have had glaucoma, or if any first degree relative like your elder brother or sister has glaucoma, then there is a little higher chance of you having a glaucoma, specifically if your age is above 50 years of age. Then thinning of the optic nerve. Those patients who have a thin outer coat and a thin pachymetry are at higher risk of developing glaucoma. Patients having high intraocular pressure. Sometimes we measure the eye pressure of a patient which comes out to be 26, which is well above 22. But once we check the optic nerve, we do the visual field, we do the OCT, and everything is normal. That means that the patient is not having disease at present, but because of its high pressure, is definitely at a higher risk of developing glaucoma over a period of time. So we need to observe these patients more regularly and more frequently. Any patient who has had an eye injury, either blunt or penetrating earlier in life, has more chances of developing glaucoma in that eye which has undergone trauma. And last, as we discussed, that eyes with thin pachymetry or thin central corneas are at a higher risk of developing glaucomas. So in a nutshell, what you need to understand is if your age group is above 50, if you have diabetes, blood pressure, or thyroid issues, if you are taking any kind of steroids for a longer duration of period, if you are a high myopic, that is if you have a high minus number, if you have had a family history of glaucoma, if you had injury any time in your past, then in any of these conditions, you definitely need to visit your eye doctor once to get your eye pressures as well as optic nerves checked. And if they suspect any kind of fluctuations or a raised eye pressure or optic nerve damage, then you need to undergo those specialized tests in the forms of perimetry, gonioscopy, and OCT to make a further diagnosis. So don't be afraid. The quicker or earlier we diagnose glaucoma, the better it is, because then we'll be able to stop it at an early stage. So in a nutshell, I will just like to summarize whatever I have talked to you about. Glaucoma is a disease which damages the optic nerve of the eyes. In most of the cases, there is an increased eye pressure which is associated with this optic nerve damage. But the optic nerve damage or glaucoma can also rarely occur at a normal eye pressure. Now, the high pressure which has increased needs to be controlled either by medications or drops or by laser or doing a surgery. And a continuous monitoring of each and every patient of glaucoma is required for a long-term continuous management of the disease. So normally what we like to have is every 3 monthly follow-up for your eye pressures, every 6 monthly follow-up for your visual field or perimetry testing, and at least once a year an OCT test for the patients who already have glaucoma. Even after having glaucoma, you still need to undergo these tests in the frequency which I have discussed with you to see whether further damage is occurring or not. We can't just give a drop and ask the patient to keep putting it for the rest of the life, thinking that he'll not have any further damage. If there is one drop that we give, the eye pressure comes down. Sometimes we see that even after 6 months of putting the first eye drop, there is still an increase in the damage which is coming on the tests, the perimetry as well as the OCT. So in these patients, we further need to add one more drop and reduce the pressure further so as to reduce and bring it to a level where those tests are showing a continuous damage which is not increasing beyond a limit. So a regular follow-up of each and every glaucoma patient is required every 3 monthly for eye pressures, every 6 monthly for their visual field charting, and once annually for their OCT or optic coherence tomography test. So I would just like to give the take-home message for each and one of you that, as discussed, for you or a lay public, we need to understand if we have any of those risk factors, specifically 6 risk factors: your age beyond the age of 50, any family history of glaucoma, any trauma to the eye in the past, if you have diabetes, hypertension, or thyroid disorders, and if you are taking steroids for a longer period of time, and if you have high minus glasses, then you need to see your eye doctor once to get your basic eye checkup done to rule out glaucoma. So this again is a slide showing whatever I have told you right now. As I told you, the last line is the most important. Vision lost in glaucoma cannot be regained. But there is always a silver lining that the further loss of vision can definitely be stopped, and glaucoma patient can live their whole life seeing whatever we are seeing in a proper way in this healthy world, if they are taking their disease seriously, putting the eye drops regularly, and going for the regular eye checkups. Timely diagnosis and appropriate treatment are the key to glaucoma prevention as well as management. Thank you, listeners, for connecting to me. And it was really nice getting across to you and talking to you about a very important disease which affects the elderly specifically, that is the glaucoma. Take care. Bye-bye.